my name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for being here. Today we are going to be doing a reading vlog, but we're reading my favorite author. It's Silvia Moreno-Garcia, you guys. Could it be anybody else? In my history with reading Silvia Moreno-Garcia, I have read 8 of her completed novels and novellas. I have also read 2 short stories. I have loved them all. I gave all of her books 5 stars aside from 2, which I gave 4 stars. Still a very great average that I have going. I started my journey with Moreno-Garcia by reading Gods of Jade and Shadow, which blew me out of the water. This love story that developed between the lines because of the way that they spoke to each other, and a death god and she's his champion. Just shut up. It was so good. And then to continue on and read The Beautiful Ones, which was such a different genre kind of shift, giving me Great Gatsby vibes, which is a classic that I truly do love for some godforsaken reason. And it was just so glorious. And then another genre switch when I went and read Mexican Gothic, and you all freaked out about the mushrooms, and I'm over here freaking about, like, how dare, like, propriety stop these women from saving themselves? Like, what kind of story? It was crazy. Following it up with Certain Dark Things, which was her vampire story, it was very interesting. It was a story that was one of the ones that I gave 4 stars, and it kind of gave me, I was confused for a little bit, and I was left wanting. I wanted them to be together. I was unhappy of the ending. Out of all of the books, this is one of the ones that left me wanting with the ending. I wanted something specific to be happening at the end, and it ended up not happening, but I was happy to be with these characters and happy to know that they exist and continue to exist outside of the story that I was led into. Following that up with Velvet Was the Night, which gave me the greatest book playlist that ever existed. If you're on Spotify, I highly recommend it. It's full of old-timey music and love that carries on. Oh god, it was the greatest love story that I've ever written. And like, it truly was about longing. Oh, some things just sing to my soul, and there are no words for it except that I am eternally happy experiencing this media. Then we go with Untamed Shore, which truly, a masterpiece. This one being more of a crime novel and giving dark vibes on a sunny beach. And then Daughter of Dr. Moreau, which was a very recent release, hello Wellington, as a retelling of a classic story, which entirely takes the place and necessity of another story. Beautifully done. Absolutely gorgeous. And then following this up with the novella Prime Meridian. Gorgeous. Spectacular. The only reason this one was given a 4 stars was because I felt like I could have had a bit more. And also it does kind of feel a little bit reminiscent of some other stories that came out after the fact, and looking at publication dates really helps with this kind of way that I'm reading her novels in just whatever I can get my hands on at the time, and going back and realizing which order and everything was written in. And truly, while everything is its own true genre and is masterfully crafted, I feel like the overall themes of melancholia and love and longing and loneliness pervade all of them. And so I'm very excited now at this point to be picking up Signal to Noise, because so this is a re-release. It was originally published in 2015. This was her debut novel, now getting a re-release. It came out in 2022 with this gorgeous cover, purples and pinks and blues, and it's giving haunting music. I'm really excited about this one because it kind of reminds me of Velvet Was the Night, which is heavily influenced by music, and a character who loves music in a time period and setting that prohibited her from having too much free access to music. So this one, we're in Mexico City, just like all of the settings. We're in some area in Mexico, giving us this very Latin and traditional setting and vibe. And then we're in 1988. All of her stories taking place between I want to say like 1960 and 1980s, maybe even 1990s. So we're in 1988 and one timeline, and then 2 decades later, which will be 2008, which is our most current setting that any of her stories have been written in. So I'm very excited for this. I do love dual timeline stories. I'm always interested to go back and forth, and it makes it more intriguing and the story reading experience more enjoyable. So I will be checking in with you. Wellington, we're almost done. Almost. I will be checking in with you one time before the ending, and I want to let you know the summary after I read a little bit of it. So I'm going to go read a little bit of it, and then I'll let you know what this is about. You must be careful. Magic will break your heart. In 1988, Meche is in high school in a bad home environment with few friends when she discovers her record player might be magical enough to cast spells. In 2009, Meche returns to her hometown to lay to rest her estranged father who abandoned his family. Meche must reconcile with the past in more ways than one. Hello, we are here with, there's no chapter numbers, but I'm on page 217, and I'm having a grand old time. This story is very interesting, because I didn't realize, I guess, how paranormal and witchy it was going to get. Meche and her friends are literally teenage witches, and so we're getting this perspective of Meche when she's older. She's moved away from her house, from her life, and her estranged father has died, and now she's back in her hometown to have a funeral for him that is all of the things that he doesn't want. He's not religious, and he's having this religious ceremony because her mom wants to do this for him, and she doesn't know him, and, you know, she really just doesn't want to be there. There's even this line where Meche's mother is like, "Do you miss him?" And she's like, "How could I miss a man that I..." Sorry, if you hear anything weird, Jack is playing with string by the mic stand. And Meche says, "How can I love a man, or how can I miss someone that I haven't known for the majority of my life?" And she said, "It's because you look like you miss him." And I thought that that was just so simple and profound. And of course the chapter just ends right there. And I'm just like, oh, I love this. It's so beautiful and sad and melancholic, and so there's that perspective. And then we're also getting Meche as her and her 2 friends are discovering that Meche's record player is a little bit magic, and they're trying to figure out how the magic works. Is every record magic, or is it just certain records? Which records fit with what kind of spell you're trying to do? And it's really, really interesting. So we're going back and forth. Her friend is starting to have like premonition dreams of the future that we just read about. So it was kind of crazy. So I'm really not sure where this story is kind of going. I know in the past timeline, the way that one is going to resolve is there was a big blowout. Something happened between Meche and her friend. What's the boy's name? Sebastian. Something happened between her and Sebastian, and she blames Sebastian for either them stopping the spell work or it not working for her anymore, but she has a huge grudge, which I really enjoy in this character because it gives her depth, and she's a little bit unlikable. She's really mean to Sebastian as a kid and Daniela when they were kids, but also when Daniela confronts her and tries to just give condolences and kind of reconnect, Meche doesn't want that, and she's kind of mean about it. And it's not nice that she's a mean character, but it was kind of like a refreshing point of view. But to see, I guess, a woman being able to be upset and angry and have her emotions and just, you know, follow that a little bit. So really intriguing. I'm really liking it. I don't know where the future is going to lead us, the future timeline. I think that one is going to wrap up somehow with her and Sebastian reconnecting. I hope it's a little bit of a love story because it's really cute, their like relationship developing as teenagers, but it's also very haunting and kind of creepy, and the way the magic works is very vivid and visceral and kind of icky, but I really am enjoying it. So I'm going to check back in with you not until the end, and we'll discuss a little bit in detail my thoughts and how it wrapped up, and we'll give it a rating. And I think that we will also rate all of my Moreno-Garcias in order, I think, of my favorite to least. Maybe we'll go based on like the actual caw pile rating and then like my emotions in the moment. You know, I think that'll be fun. All right, I'll see you in a bit. I couldn't bring myself to call, except to call it quits. Hello, I finished it. It was amazing. Oh my God, stop. This was so great. So, oh my God, it was just so good. So we follow Meche in the past as she is self-destructing around people that she genuinely cares about. It's heartbreaking and addicting to watch, but we continue to follow, and we follow her down her witch's path, which is really devoid of any real guidance. It's a melancholic coming-of-age story exploring people in love who are missing each other or misunderstanding each other. They hurt each other in so many ways, and it's like your own heart is breaking every time one of these characters is hurting. I love how Silvia Moreno-Garcia entirely knows when to switch perspectives of the from the past timeline to the present timeline, and then even perspectives between characters. While this is mainly told in Meche's perspective, we have a lot of instances where we're following her father in the past, and by the end of it, it kind of feels like we as the reader had know Meche's father better than she ever did, and truly understand a little bit more of his actions, his decisions. We get a little bit of perspective of her mother, her grandmother, and we alone as the reader get the entire story, while Meche is forced to, basically like we all are in our lives, to only have her own perspective and not understand how everyone else is decisions and the choices that they have made affect and complete the whole picture. It's actually amazing and beautifully put together. There are some moments where I feel like the dialogue is a little bit choppy, but it never ever takes away from things. It's just a moment of, I think that could have been said a little bit better. But with this being on the audiobook for me, so the audiobook and this version are a little bit different. The audiobook adds and takes away a few portions of this because this was originally published in 2015, and I'm not sure when the audiobook came out. It is probably following the 2015 edition, and I believe this one is slightly edited. It is beautiful still, and nothing really truly changes, I think, but there were some moments of the audiobook narrator kind of seeming a little bit like choppy, but it didn't dissuade from the experience at all. This is a second chance romance, which is literally the only one of this trope that has ever worked for me, and I even almost hate to put it in that kind of tropey category, because while this is like a fantasy kind of romance, it's like, it's realism but magical, and they're witches, and it's full of Latin heritage, and I struggle to want to define it at all. It was absolutely a treat, a treat. Okay, so next I decided to rate all of the Moreno-Garcias that I have read so far, because at this point I've read them all. I've read all of the books. There is one book of short stories that I haven't read. I forget what it's called. Editing Mackenzie will pop it up here. I really want it, so hopefully Santa will bring it to me for Christmas. In the order of my caw pile ratings, my lowest rated is Certain Dark Things. Above that, Prime Meridian, Untamed Shore, Velvet Was the Night, Gods of Jade and Shadow, Daughter of Dr. Moreau, Signal to Noise, Mexican Gothic, and The Beautiful Ones. The Beautiful Ones has a 9.57 and my lowest rated has an 8.43. So we are like right there in the 4.55 star range. Like it's not getting any lower than that. But like when you rate excellence, there is a bit of a difference, right? But then I ordered them in order of my favorite romances. So right off the bat, Prime Meridian and The Daughter of Dr. Moreau really don't have a love story. Untamed Shore has not enough of a love story, and then everything else has a love story, and instead of like ranking them, I decided to describe the love story to you. You're welcome. Certain Dark Things has the like Panic at the Disco, if you love me let me go vibes. Mexican Gothic has like strong strength love that endures. The Beautiful Ones has like a fated, destined love. We have Velvet Was the Night, which is simply haunting, and I think of it always. Signal to Noise, I literally just wrote squeal. So I'm not gonna squeal, but like, and then Gods of Jade and Shadow is heartache. Absolutely amazing. I feel like Moreno-Garcia's love stories are so excellent. Like it. How do I read other romance after this? How am I supposed to move on? How do I do anything? How do I breathe without you? Moreno-Garcia is an amazing author, and if you are interested in any version of her stories, I highly recommend them. I am wondering if I should do a Moreno-Garcia, like, if you're this kind of reader, start with this book. I think that's coming next. So I hope you enjoyed this video where I just literally gushed about my favorite author for 20 minutes maybe. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!